Welcome to the Volpe Report podcast, the state's premier public affairs show dedicated to the topics that matter most to Pennsylvanians. I'm your host, Chuck Volpe. Join us now as we speak to this week's guest.
The following half-hour show is a paid political program and is not endorsed by this station, management, or staff.
The following program is brought to you by Excalibur Insurance Management Services.
First of all, I'd like to welcome you back to the Volpe Report for the fall season and hope you had an enjoyable summer with your families. I have to confess, even though I'm an old guy now, I still get the same feeling I did as a kid when Labor Day comes around. Of course, it's bittersweet. Summer's over and belongs to memory. But as always, life goes on and each fall brings with it new challenges and opportunities. We look forward to bringing those to you on the Volpe Report. With that in mind, we are thrilled to be able to bring you the United States Speaker, Mike Johnson, arguably the second most powerful man in the country, and in fact, second in succession to the president. He will be joined on today's show by Volpe Report's most frequent guest, United States Congressman Dan Meuser, and our freshman in Washington, who is already leaving an indelible mark, U.S. Congressman Rob Bresnahan. As they have been frequent guests, you are already familiar with their backgrounds. Speaker Johnson hails from Shreveport, Louisiana, the oldest of 4 children. He was a graduate of Captain Shreve High School and then went on to LSU, otherwise known as Louisiana State University, earning his degree in business administration. He then went on to law school, graduating from Louisiana State's Paul M. Herbert School of Law with a Juris Doctorate degree. He then passed his bar and became a lawyer. The Speaker was a constitutional lawyer of some renown, serving as legal counsel for the Alliance Defense Fund, as a socially conservative advocacy group that supports constitutionalism. Johnson then went on to found Freedom Guard, a nonprofit law firm engaged in religious liberty litigation. He is a professor at Liberty University, teaching classes at its Helms School of Government. It's rather amazing to think he does all these things while being the Speaker of the House of the United States. Mike entered politics first by winning election to the Louisiana State House of Representatives. After only one term, he was elected to the United States Congress in 2016 and is currently in his 5th term. To say his rise was meteoric would be a drastic understatement. In 2017, in his first term, he already became the deputy whip in leadership for the Republican caucus, serving also on the Judiciary and Armed Services Committees. Then, on that fateful day, after the former Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, had been deposed, Mike Johnson was elected as one of the youngest and the earliest to actually become Speaker. He was only at that point, I believe, in his 4th term, was elected Speaker of the House of Representatives of the United States. Mike and his wife Kelly have 5 children, and he describes himself as a Christian first and foremost. We think you will enjoy today's show as we discuss President Trump's big, beautiful bill, and no one was more responsible for getting it across the finish line than Speaker Mike Johnson. We'll also tell you the truth about what the bill actually does, which bears no resemblance to the lies the Democrats are telling you about it.
This is the Volpe Report, a weekly news and political interview show examining the latest local, state, and national issues with Chuck Volpe. Insightful, informative, controversial, the area's premier political talk show, the Volpe Report.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for making time in your amazingly busy schedule to join the Volpe Report and speak to the people of Northeast and Central Pennsylvania. Of course, we're here with 2 of your colleagues, indispensable contributors to democracy. To my immediate right, freshman Congressman Rob Bresnahan, and more senior, 4th-term U.S. Congressman, my dear friend on a personal level, Dan Meuser. As you know, one of the reasons I had asked for you to come and do this show is they have both, along with their friend Ryan McKenzie a little to the east, been subject to unprecedented attacks. In fact, Rob, you remember right after I was in Washington for the swearing in on January 3rd, the following Monday, they started attack ads on him. He had just been sworn in. So for you to tell people the truth about the big, beautiful bill, which I'll get to in a second, is really important for people to hear. But having said that, I want to congratulate you on really a miracle on the level of, and I know you're a spiritual man, but rivaling, and I hope I don't blaspheme, but rivaling the loaves and the fishes with what Jesus Christ did. He fed the multitudes with it. That's kind of what you have effectively done.
Well, hey, Chuck, thanks so much. It's a great delight to be with you. And I know you've got such a huge influence and voice in that region of the country and really around the globe, because everybody can tune in now. And that's the beauty of technology. But you're sitting next to two of my favorite people in the world, and Ryan McKenzie as well. Rob Bresnahan and Ryan were 2 of 5 seats last election cycle. We flipped from blue to red because they're extraordinary candidates. They are working, they roll up their sleeves every day, go to work for the people of Pennsylvania and the people of America, and they're just doing an incredible job. And Dan Meuser is one of my favorite people in the world. I've been serving with him for several years now. He is just excellent at everything he does. He could serve in any office in America. They almost pulled him into the cabinet, and I had to beg the president not to take him from us. Okay, so he is super talented. These 3 guys represent Pennsylvania as well as anybody has in the history of that great state, and it is a long and beautiful history. So thank you for sending them to us. They are a key part of this. I just want to say, the one big beautiful bill really was a bit of a miracle to pull off, but we never doubted it. I mean, these 3 guys and I, we set our course. We had the vision to do this. We actually began work on this more than a year ago, anticipating that President Trump would win the White House again and we would have unified government. We'd have a majority in the Senate and the House. But we also knew, because of gerrymandering and redistricting, the era we're in, that those majorities would be small. So we planned very carefully, very methodically for a giant reconciliation bill where we could do the entire America First agenda almost in one piece of legislation. It seemed audacious, it seemed impossible, but we got it done. It was a full team effort. And just real quickly, highlights, these guys have been out telling everybody what's in it. This bill is for the American people. It's geared for hardworking American people who have been struggling the last 4 years before this last election because of the Democrats being in charge. And they destroyed every metric of public policy. So we had a lot to fix. But in this bill, we have historic tax cuts and permanency on that. So everybody has, they can plan for the future. They have stability and certainty going forward. We have historic savings and deficit reduction. We save more money in this bill for the taxpayers than ever in history. Almost $1.7 trillion in savings, where we're cutting fraud, waste, and abuse out of the government. And then you go forward and you look at all the features. Border. We put a historic investment, the biggest investment in border security in generations in this bill. We're returning to American energy dominance, which will be great for the state of Pennsylvania and all Americans. You've got peace through strength. We're investing appropriately in the military and in our defense capability because we're in a big contest with China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea and everybody else right now. And you just go down the line. We could tout that all day long, but your point is great, and I want to yield back to these 2 exceptional spokesmen as well to add. But what we also did in this bill was the moral and important and right thing, and that is to shore up programs like Medicaid that had been imperiled in recent days because Medicaid has been abused. The fraud, waste, and abuse in the program and in the SNAP program is outrageous. So we introduced work requirements. What a concept. But we're proud to go into any town hall in any district in America and explain what we did and why it helps everyone. And everyone, once they know the true facts, Chuck, to your point, they nod in agreement and say, thank you so much. And that's what we'll be doing all the way up to the midterm election in 2026. We're excited to tell the story.
Well, you've just done a wonderful job. I'd like to turn first, based on seniority, to Dan to talk about and comment. You made a point off camera, and I think we'll let the speaker address it, about how people are worried about that their young niece with autism is going to lose their health care coverages. So, Dan, why don't you address that with the speaker and let him answer?
Yeah, I will. And Speaker, you're a great friend. You're a great friend to pretty much 100% of the, or 99.9 anyway, of our conference. And the reason that is because he's built trust, not just for building trust in all of us, but as well putting trust instilled in the American people. And the relationship that he has developed with the President of the United States is built upon trust. And that's where the synergy comes from. That's why we're taking care of business and able to do the right thing, have a pro-growth bill that has savings associated with it, that does all the things we said it was going to do. And you know what? There's something in this bill for everyone, but mainly the people who elected us and the President of the United States, right? Middle income, regular America. You know, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Bonus depreciation is going to ignite capital investment. The golden era of manufacturing in the U.S., as the president puts it, is beginning. And I want to just finish with this if I can.
Sure.
Rob Bresnahan has come into the U.S. House. He's a fighter for his district. He knows when to be a team player. He has a great relationship with our leadership. The guy's smart. He works super hard. He cares as much as anyone. We're lucky to have him. And the people within your district will understand how you fought, particularly for rural hospitals. That $50 billion would likely not be there because of what the Senate did with allowing the lowering of the provider tax. $50 billion allocated for rural hospitals. So, you know, results will speak for themselves. This is all going to come together very well. Appreciate you so much, Speaker.
Rob, please.
Well, that was a wonderful handoff, and it's so incredible to have a friend and a neighbor in Washington like Congressman Meuser. I mean, I think we live about 4 miles apart here, and Dan serves as more as a friend, as a therapist, as a confidant, and having that ability to just pick someone's brain with his knowledge and expertise is truly incredible. Mr. Speaker, always a pleasure to be with you. And I remember after one of our first conversations, I had a bunch of press surround me when I walked out of your office. And they said, you know, are you concerned at all about the Speaker making a backroom deal? And I said, if I've learned anything after my short 5 months in Congress, the Speaker has been a straight shooter. He has been nothing but open, transparent, and what he has said he would do is what he's actually done. So I want to thank you for holding to that commitment. And I think 2 other points inside of, like Congressman Meuser said, there's something in this bill for everyone. Something we didn't talk about, I serve on transportation infrastructure, and $12.5 billion for air traffic control modernization. I mean, I think when you think about the 45,000 flights that you have a day moving 3 million people across the United States, I mean, air travel is still the safest form of transportation in the United States. As well as, you know, you talk about the able-bodied individuals and the work requirements. And Chuck, you had mentioned something about SNAP. I mean, actually something that the Senate bill did was allow for a 0% cost share back down to the states. So if the state of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, can get their error rate under control, they will be paying absolutely nothing more than they are today, starting also in 2028 with ample runway to be able to fix the problems, make sure the verifications, the eligibilities are correct. So I want to just quell some of the concerns that some of the viewers may have. And there's an ad running against me right now referencing somebody with, you know, all of these different people that would be essentially kicked off of Medicaid. And I remember sitting there saying, I'm like, oh my God, that's somebody with an intellectual disability. They're covered. I mean, our legislation goes as far as making sure people that are incarcerated in public institutions continue to receive the benefits in which they are entitled. So I want to say with that, I'll yield. And thanks for being a part of us here today and showing Northeastern Pennsylvania that you have our best interest in mind.
Well, the best thing I could say, having heard all that, if you need an endorsement from a very, not just an objective, but even an adversarial point of view, my heart grew just filled with joy when I heard Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez go to the microphones. And I want to quote her accurately. I think I've got it fairly well memorized. This could be the saddest day in modern American history when you pass that bill. And I thought to myself, if a avowed Marxist socialist who hates this country and doesn't believe in all the great founding values of this country and Western civilization generally, nothing would better sum up. If those people hate this bill, that means America got what they voted for. And you know what, Mr. Speaker, and my 2 friends here, you know what bothers me is that they're acting like this is somehow a travesty. Donald Trump and you all ran on this. On November 5th, the American people voted for this, and you've given them what you've promised. So can they do math? Like, do they understand math?
No.
No.
Please comment, Mr. Speaker.
Well, look, they're in full panic mode for a reason. The Marxists are terrified because we've just delivered on the promises we made to the American people, as you all said. And the America First agenda is no longer just an agenda, it's now the law of the land. And that makes the people on the far left, they're terribly disturbed because they know what this is going to mean for the American people. Now, remember, this is not based on theory or groundless hope. We did this already. After the first 2 years of the first Trump administration, we achieved the greatest economy in the history of the world, not just the U.S. And all boats were rising. Why? Because we cut taxes and we cut regulations. Well, we just did it again, but this time on steroids. So just think of what we achieved here. This goes right to the heart of the Marxist idea that supposedly they're for the people, they're for the government. It's the opposite. After the first 2 years of the Trump administration, the lowest 20% of wage earners in the U.S. had their lowest tax rate in 40 years. We just made that permanent. If you make between $30,000 and $80,000 a year, you're going to pay 15% less in federal taxes because of the legislation the president just signed, and these guys sitting next to you delivered. This bill was written for lower and middle class, hardworking American people, and they are the ones that are going to feel the great benefits of that. So we did everything we did in the first Trump administration before COVID, but we expanded it dramatically. And as Dan said earlier, all these great pro-growth policies are going to be jet fuel to the U.S. economy. Wages are going to rise. Job opportunities are going to be expanded dramatically. Everyone will be able to climb up to the next rung on that ladder, and they'll be feeling those effects before the midterm elections in 2026. Look, I want to say, and these guys know very well, we have to defy history to grow the majority in 2026 because there's only twice in U.S. history in the last 90 years that a sitting president has picked up seats for his party in that first 2-year cycle after he's elected. But we're going to do it this time. Absolutely. I'm convinced because not only did we have a demographic shift in the last election in 2024 with a record number of Hispanic and Latino voters, Black and African American voters, Jewish voters, union workers, all these demographics that came to the party. Now we're delivering for those people. They'll stay with us. And we also have the most favorable election map that we've faced in decades because as we're talking today, there's 13 House Democrats sitting in districts that President Trump won. There's another 21 House Democrats sitting in districts he came within 5 points of winning. And by contrast, there's only 3 House Republicans sitting in Kamala Harris districts. So that means we've got a lopsided map. We've got a favorable opportunity to play offense. And we're going to flip more seats like we did with Rob's seat last cycle in the upcoming cycle. So we're excited to go out and show the people that we're the ones delivered for them. And they can tell the Marxists to take a hike.
Yeah. And I'll just add, we're just banking on the results, and it's a good investment to be made. I mean, this bill will codify the secure border, right? How important is that to America?
You don't have a country without a border. Right. You don't have a country.
Illegals coming in, criminals.
And every
coming
Democrat in
in,
the House voted against it, Dan. Every single one of them voted against it.
Every Democrat in the House voted against codifying and securing our border. But what this bill also does is drive the economy. We talked about the taxes. I can't help but talk about the taxes because if I have a specialty in Congress, it's advocating for small business, and that's where most of the employment, most of the productivity takes place. And what has been done here is growth on steroids, as you mentioned. But it's even more than that. It's national security. It is savings, and we're just getting started.
Rob?
Well, I think Dan and I both get to serve on small business, and it's one of my favorite committees to serve on because I do truly feel that it is Main Street America. When we walk down Main Street and talk to our small business owners and they're uncertain about making that different plan, do they take that loan out to reinvest into that inventory? And by us being able to unite, get this thing across the finish line, showed that we can all work in unison and deliver results for the American people, specifically our small businesses. I think we need some time. This is not going to be overnight. And, when you're looking at, a lot of the fear mongers are saying, it's going to inflate the national debt and but we were also capped on our growth. And we know the CBO score and how we were capped underneath that 2% growth rate. I mean, if we look at the first Trump presidency, our growth was astronomically larger than that. And, speaking of also what's going to grow, Medicaid by $200 billion over the next 10 years. So I really take offense to someone saying that we are cutting the Medicaid programs, because this is actually going to continue to grow into the tune of $200 billion. And our economies, our small businesses, and our working families are also going to win because of this piece of legislation.
And Mr. Speaker, I'd like to add one thing to your forecast about good weather ahead for the Republicans at the midterms. You forgot one number, though, that I remembered, and that is this: 21. 21% is the approval rating of the Democratic Congress. It's the lowest in their party's history. They said, some of them, this is the greatest transfer of wealth ever from middle working class Americans to billionaires. So they're claiming what this bill does. Please tell them the truth about the bill.
Yeah, as usual, what they say is exactly the opposite of the truth. This is demonstrable. We can show this. Go read the bill. Most of them did not. I'm quite certain almost all the Democrats did not read the legislation. They just railed against the concept of it. I mean, they were running ads against the bill before we even drafted it. They didn't even know what was going to be in it. So they're using the same tired old talking points that are not working. I mean, Chuck, you made a great point. They're at their lowest approval rating in history. At the same time, we, House Republicans, literally have our highest approval rating in 40 years. And the last poll that we saw, and you can Google the headlines, there's lots of talk about it, but that was a week before we completed our mission and passed the One Big Beautiful Bill. So people now are going to be feeling the effects of that, and our approval rating will continue to go higher. We are doing what we said we were going to do, as Dan and Rob were talking about, and people appreciate that. But look, Democrats are on exactly the wrong side of everything. They're lying about the bill. They're lying about the effects of the bill. They're lying about what they truly represent. But as John Adams reminded us, facts are stubborn things, and we've got them on record. I mean, they are voting over and over and over for the craziest things imaginable. And their public comments are just off the charts. They are assaulting law enforcement. They are attacking ICE agents instead of standing for the rule of law. I mean, the border was the number one issue in the last election cycle. They're on exactly the wrong side of that. The people are going to be able to see which party represents them and their interest and which party is delivering for them and their families. And that's going to be a very simple message for us to deliver on that election cycle. I'm telling you, this is not your grandfather's Democratic Party. I mean, when I grew up as a kid in Louisiana, I didn't even know a Republican. We were, those yellow or blue dog Democrats down in the deep South. And I grew up in that environment, but that party doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. I mean,
the party of John F. Kennedy is dead.
Far left. They truly are Marxists, and they left the American people behind.
The party of John F. Kennedy is dead, which inspired my father before me and me to become Democrats. Mr. Speaker, I was one for 45 years. But real quick, I know we're running out of time, and I appreciate your time. One last thing that we haven't talked about. This is like you've just scored 40 points and won the national championship, but next season is going to roll around, and you have 2 years left, of course. Well, you have 3 years really left. So what do you do before midterms in the second half of your first part? What is on your agenda to get done in the next year for the American people? Because after this, you would think no one's really talking about, life in government has to go on, right?
Look, we go right into the next stages. As Dan said, we're just getting started. As you said, we got 3 years left of the Trump administration, over 3 years. So we accomplished more in the first 6 months of this term than any previous Congress or administration ever has in 6 months, to the shock and awe of the Marxists and the Democrats in Capitol Hill. But we're just getting started. There's more to come. So what's ahead of us immediately is the appropriations process. We are the party of fiscal responsibility. We are doing deficit reduction in the Big Beautiful Bill, but we have a lot more to do. And so we're going to appropriate at lower levels and spend the people's hard-earned treasure more responsibly. And we're going to do rescissions packages. We passed the first one out of the House already. That's just a fancy word for when the White House, the administration, basically send to Congress a request to claw back funding that had already been appropriated but was being misspent. And so we're excited about doing that. And then, guys, we're going to do another reconciliation package, planning one for the fall, for the next fiscal year, and then hopefully a third one next spring for the fiscal year that follows that. So all within a 2 years congressional period, this Congress, we are going to make history day after day after day. Meanwhile, we'll be codifying President Trump's many executive orders and all the rest of everything else that this extraordinary cabinet is accomplishing, so that we make that permanent in the law as well. So a lot more to do. The team is united and excited, and we are delivering for the people exactly as you said.
Before I sign off, a final word, Dan?
I would just say I'm just real proud of you, Speaker. I'm proud to serve with Rob. And what you're stating there could be the most important issue facing America's survival. And I don't say that lightly. We have $1 trillion in deficit spending or service on the debt right now. That is coming down. We made some important strides, but we still have work to do to correct course and bring accountability, transparency, so the American people's tax-paying dollars go to the right place. And I'll just say it quickly. The best way is through more jobs, more growth, more taxpayers, not more taxes, and smart savings. I was Revenue Secretary for 4 years. We lowered costs, improved services, and we were rewarded for it. It can be done.
Rob?
Economies that work, communities that are safe, and borders that are secure. That's what I ran on. H.R. 1 took a great giant bite out of that first step. Also, when you're in the majority, you are expected to govern. It's very easy to sit in the minority, scream and yell and carry on. But when you're in the majority, you are expected to carry the load. I think that's exactly what we did as a conference. Was everything perfect and everything the way that each and every one of us wanted? No, of course not. But you still need to be able to govern. You still need to be able to deliver results for the American people, and specifically the people of Northeastern Pennsylvania. I am just so incredibly grateful and humbled to be a small part of this monumental achievement.
Well, as I sign off, Mr. Speaker, I'm an even smaller part. I just get to sit here and hopefully change hearts and minds and tell people the truth. But I want to leave you with this final just comment, and that is this. Newt Gingrich, one of the most consequential speakers in our history, this to me is the biggest single legislative accomplishment since the contract with America back in 1994, that speaker, as you, got across the finish line. With a Democratic president, no less, at the time, Bill Clinton. So he may have you one up on that one. But what he said about you, I think I'm going to end with this. He said that you have had the most challenging speakership, including his own, since the Civil War. That's a pretty high praise in the fact that you have navigated it so well. I'd just like to add my 2 cents to that. Godspeed, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the time you've given to about a third of Pennsylvania that I cover in this media market. So thank you, and these two guys will keep bringing the water back to the people of Northeast and Central Pennsylvania. Thank you.
I know they will, Chuck. Thank you so much. Thanks for Pennsylvania and all that it has meant to our great nation. And I'll just leave you guys with this thought that we are doing the right thing for the people. We are upholding the foundational principles of the country, and we're the greatest nation in the history of the world for a reason. We're built on that bold proclamation from the very beginning in the Declaration of Independence that we recognize that we are all created equal by God, and that it is God who gives us our rights, not the government. And that's the foundational premise of everything we do right now. So God bless Pennsylvania. God bless Dan Meuser and Rob Bresnahan, Ryan McKenzie, all the whole team in the delegation from Pennsylvania. They are essential to this agenda. Chuck, thank you for your super important voice, my friend. It's so great to be with you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. God bless.
God bless, Speaker.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of the Volpe Report podcast. Be sure to visit our YouTube and Facebook pages for upcoming episodes. You can catch up on the Volpe Report podcast on your favorite podcast provider.